Hello and welcome to CannonBallDiVA Chronicles, where we'll be discussing and chronicling different issues pertaining to living in this life. One of them is being in relationships that are narcissistic or toxic. We'll also be highlighting topics related to fashion, which is one of my passions, and also talking about healthcare, fitness, even real estate and investment opportunities that present themselves that could be of use to any of us. Today we'll be talking about how the narcissist hoodwinks us into believing that they're the one, the steps that they take, and the kind of attributes they have that make us eventually fall prey to their tactics. A narcissist's main goal is self-actualization through the abuse of other people. They get joy from treating others in a bad way. They get joy and satisfaction from seeing people sad. It gives them some satisfaction that the sadness and the bad feelings they have within themselves is being projected into someone else. That saves them having to feel bad, or that saves them having to feel the negative emotions that plague them on a daily basis. As I speak about the narcissist today, we'll also highlight some of the attributes I've noticed that, or even people in the limelight have exhibited. I wouldn't want to share the full names of some of them, but for those of you who are Nigerian, I will mention, if I know the last name or the first name, I would leave it at that. If not, I will just mention it arbitrarily, like someone who we all know has said this or that, to save the identity of those involved. As we progress, I'll also talk about my own personal experiences with a narcissist and how I discovered that it was actually a personality disorder. It took years and years. In fact, it took decades to find out that this was the case. But by then, I'd already been subjected to a lot of physical, verbal, emotional, and financial, and physical and spiritual abuse. You would think that a narcissist would get tired of doing the same things or escalating their abuse against one victim, but they never get tired. In fact, they even become more callous, more vindictive, more abusive, and more wicked as you spend more time with them. Because the more satisfaction they get from you staying put and not leaving them shows them that you deserve what you get. It tells them one thing and one thing alone: if you're still here after everything I've done to you, then you must deserve it. Because of the deep-seated hatred the narcissists have for themselves, they do not regard anybody else with love. They are unable to feel love for anyone else because they hate themselves to the core. So when someone is experiencing abuse from the narcissist and decides that they want to stay and try and keep trying to make the relationship work, you are sending only one message to the narcissist, who is incapable of experiencing empathy. Empathy, love, joy, or positive emotions that you and I take for granted. The narcissist actually has none of those emotions and would prefer, or would actually benefit from you as a person who is able to have these emotions by trying to project their sadness into you and taking your joy and your peace, and then reflecting that joy and peace that they've managed to squeeze out from you as theirs. So sometimes you'd notice that a narcissist mimics what you say. I've noticed, maybe on an off chance, that I would say or make some terminology sometimes, or maybe my little quirks that I have, I would notice that the narcissist would try to emulate them or copy them, or he would try to repeat the way I would say things sometimes, and just repeat it under his breath, or trying to mimic you. The narcissist tries to mimic what you do because they don't have their own emotions. They are empty vessels within themselves. They are not able to feel love. You and I can feel love. If you're a human being that has the God-given attribute that God has called us to exhibit to one another, which is love. The first and foremost commandment that God made, number one, was show each other love. And to know and to realize that the narcissist can't feel love. All they feel is hatred. All they feel is a deep-seated judgment of you for even existing in the first place. So when you make the mistake of exhibiting joy around them, they just can't stand it. I remember there was a time I was watching some YouTube channel. Like, I love to watch Nigerian comedians on YouTube. I just watch them and I laugh, because when you laugh and you're merry, you sometimes momentarily you forget about your issues or any kind of trouble you have while you're laughing. You've put that aside, and I like to do that because this world is full of trouble. So I try to watch comedies, and I've come to realize from listening to different motivational tapes over the years that laughter is medicinal. You laugh, you forget your sorrows, be happy, because there's someone else out there that is way worse off than you are. So no matter what you're going through, remember that you need to be thankful and be happy, because God is the only one that can deliver us from the things that we experience. In the meantime, God has given us the ability to feel joy. For the joy of the Lord is our strength, and the peace of the Lord that passes all human understanding is our portion. And knowing that, you need to welcome the joy of the Lord into your heart and just be thankful for what He has done, and feel joy on a daily basis. So I was just there in my room laughing, watching all these videos, which are, the comedies one after the other, and just laughing uncontrollably. And then I heard my name being called from the living room, only to come out to hear this narcissist tell me, "Why are you laughing so much? What's so funny? Why are you laughing?" I said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was loud." I said, "Just keep it down, please. Stop laughing so much. What's there to laugh about?" And there I was, I said, "Oh, sorry." I went back in and I lowered my voice. The door was even shut, so I don't know how he heard me. But I shut the door and continued to watch my videos, thinking to myself, you'd expect someone like that to actually want to join in and say, "Oh, let's share the joke. What's going on? Let me see what you're seeing." But their concern was you're laughing and you're happy, and I don't want you to be laughing around me. I'm happy, So that's the narcissist feels like if they can't be happy, if they can't express or feel that joy, experience that joy within their hearts, no one should experience the joy as well, that joy. So what they would do around you is just do whatever they feel would suck away your joy or take away your joy or not cause you to be joyful. Another way that the narcissist expresses themselves, if they want to actually give you an item or give you a gift, the only way they would give you a gift if it reflects back to them and makes them look good. For example, they would want to present you with a gift in the presence of others, because others would maybe celebrate them or call them a good person or speak well about them, then they would want to do that, because that actually at the end of the day, it benefits them. Them giving you that item in front of others benefits them, because then people would celebrate them being a good person. When you're having a birthday party and you're happy, they would try their best to turn the party or the focus back to them, either by causing a ruckus, either by having a fit, either by complaining about one thing or the other, either by taking that attention away from you, so that joy you're feeling that you have a celebration is destroyed. You forget about the fact that you're supposed to be happy because it's your celebration, and you focus that energy instead on them. So they don't like to have anyone celebrate any event around them. If you invite a narcissist to your party, I can promise you one thing. At the end of it, the attention is going to be upon them at some point. Because at some point, if you're discussing issues about different, maybe whatever is happening in town you're discussing, they're going to bring this conversation back to themselves somehow and remind you of, "Oh, when this happened to me," or "when I did this," or that reminds me I was with this man. And one thing about it is that they are very good at name dropping. Even when they don't know someone of affluence or influence, they will drop that name at that point to make you feel they know people of influence, because at the end of the day, that also, in their own opinion, makes them look important and makes them look good. If you're having anything, celebration, remember that the narcissist is not going to be happy for you, because after all, who are you? Who are you? They look for faults in others. While they're looking for a lot of faults in others, they elevate themselves, and they cast other people down. I don't know how many of you remember, there's a government official that used to be the aviation minister. I'm going to leave, like I said, leave names out, but I'm sure if you're Nigerian, you know who I'm talking about. I remember this man. I watched him many times. His name starts with F, just to give you guys a clue. You know, this guy, this man had, and I can't remember how many wives he's had now, but I know that one of his wives, the youngest one he had, used to be some beauty queen of some sort, an Igbo girl, and I read about her story. I was so interested in listening to this woman. Very gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful, you know, very soft-spoken too. I watched an interview that she had with Chude, and I just watched this lady and I was just amazed at how beautiful she was, even after having like I think she had 3 boys. And before he married her, apparently he was having daughters and getting married again and still ending up with daughters. And you know, our Nigerian culture, many men, if we want to be honest, love to have sons. And he eventually, I think from what I read, he was told that she was the only one. When he consulted, I don't know who he consulted, but he told him she's the only one that can give you sons that you need. He married her and ended up with 3 beautiful boys. But during the course of the marriage, based on what she said during this interview and based on common knowledge, because this was all in social media, you know, she said it was very abusive. It was a very abusive relationship. He would speak to her down, talk her down. And there was a time, you know, he didn't know that she was videotaping him actually. I watched this video of this man, the way he was talking to her, the way he was speaking with so much venom and anger, like, and he didn't know that she was videotaping him. And he walked towards her at some point after she said, they were having an argument and she said something, and he came towards her like this menacing step towards her. I was like, yes, tell me now, what are you gonna say? I mean, I just cringed within myself. I'm like, oh my God, that reminds me of somebody, you know? That reminds me of so much venom. That's the only word that matches that kind of emotion when they are angry. It's not even anger anymore. It's like this, it's way above anger. It's not normal anger that you and I feel when someone says something that we don't like. It's this vexation, this spirit of vexation, and this, like, as if they would just tear you to bits if they could get their hand on you. That, I mean, if the law would allow them get away with it, what they would do to you, that feeling of, like, you know, and I just watched it and I cringed within myself. I'm like, I can imagine what this guy has. I mean, he has, from what I've heard, he has abused her. He has had so many different physical abuse encounters with this man. But just that, you know, that body language, even before he even touched her, even without him touching her, that's that body language of how, you know, it's just an abusive stance that is threatening, very threatening. And I saw that a lot. You know, what this man, I mean, would come out and say things. Even though the time I had one journalist like this that he told off, the way it was, the man kept apologizing to him. I'm sorry, sir. They dressed the man down. I think they had a board meeting of some sort, that they were having maybe a news conference, and the man had the nerve to ask him something to do with the funds that he got. How did he acquire the funds, or can he explain something to do with the funds? And he looked the guy up and I said, how dare you? Who are you to ask me that question? Do you know where I get my money for? Who are you? I will deal with. It's very similar wording to the one I've experienced. Like, he was just talking to this guy. I mean, he didn't want to stop. He didn't just say that and move on. He kept saying, I will talk to your bosses. I will make sure you lose your job. I will. And the guy was, I mean, that just pointed, I mean, this is, I'm sure, some kind of attack he never expected other people to watch him. He didn't think he was going to have to show his true colors, because some of them like to hide how they really are. But when in public, somebody makes the mistake of stepping on their toes, or what they consider stepping on their toes, and they can't hold back, their true colors show. It shows, and eventually they go back when they're thinking about it. They don't even regret what they did, but they just regret being found out. They regret being exposed, and they blame the person who said whatever they said to them for making them look bad. They don't blame themselves for what they said or what they did. They blame that person, and it makes them hate that person more, and it makes them decide to go after that person more. So you see, this newscaster was so taken aback. He kept quiet when this guy was threatening him of all he was going to do to him. He kept apologizing, and then people became very angry with this man. Like, who are you? Are you not a human being? Like, it's okay. He's a journalist. So when he realized that there was a backlash against what he did and the way he talked to this journalist, then he had to come across and say something to the effect. Remember when I told you guys in one of the videos that I had that they don't even apologize? They can never apologize. The worst you hear or the best you hear from them is, if I offended you, or if you were offended, I'm sorry. Or they don't apologize for their actions. They apologize for your reaction to their actions. So if you're angry about what I said, I'm sorry. They don't apologize for their own, what they did. So I think he now came out and said something to that effect. I'm sorry if you felt offended or something to that point. And they say that you're not still haven't apologized. Thank God for social media that exposes people like this. You know, and a lot of people were commenting, Paul, that his poor wife, all this is poor wives, all of them have been leaving him one after the other. They live after one after the other. And he's not been able to manage even one wife. But you have the mouth to come, even till now, you hear him come out and say all sorts of things. You know, the one that pained me the most was that his wife, he took these children from his wife, the boys. He took them from her. I don't remember for how long, but I know it was at least one whole year. He didn't let her see these boys. And these boys they're not grown-up boys. I think they were within the ages of 7, 8, 9, or 10, at the most 10. Because when they showed their picture, one of them looked like he was 3 years old. Light-skinned, pretty, handsome boys that this man gave to the nannies. He had about 2 or 3 nannies in the house with him, because obviously he had money from being a corrupt official. I'm sure in Nigeria most of our government officials are corrupt, so he has all this money to his benefit, and was able to provide nannies for his boys. And there was a time he did a video of these boys, and then he said, my children are happy. I don't know what she's talking about, because when she did the video, she came across as saying that she's not even sure that the kids are being taken care of, because the last time she saw them, one of them wasn't looking too good and one of them wasn't feeling too well. And then he came out with this picture of all of them this video of all of them looking, wearing the same outfits and running around, you know, with the nannies calling them happy. I think she was showing the birthday party. I mean, where in society, in this our world, does it say a man has the right to take away children that the woman has had 12 months, you know, in her stomach, gave birth to them, nursed them, took care of them, was the primary caregiver for these children up until the time they got to that age, and he just took them away from her. And I think the court wasn't able to overrule their decision or get him to give them back to her, because he was the main breadwinner. I think he had more funds. But I think in a just society, she would have been able to have these children, or they could have had joint custody of some sort. But in this case, he had the full custody of them and didn't let her see them for one whole year, not even once. And that alone just told me how callous and wicked, vindictive. What other word can you use for someone like this? Punitive this kind of person can be. They make themselves God and decide what to do to you. They become the judge and the ruler and everything against you, and nobody can fight for you once they decide that that's what they want to do to you. It will take only the grace of God to help you. And this woman was pleading with people, begging people, crying. She even cried openly one time online, begging for people to intervene and help her. And then some people had the nerve to go out and say, didn't you also go enter his life? And the other woman, weren't you also having an affair with him when he was married? I don't even know the truth about that, but I saw a lot of comments, because I read commentary when I see videos like this. What's the mindset of people who are watching this video? And some were blaming her. Maybe you married him when he was already a married man, and he married you now. You were the new wife, enjoying new wife, all the new wife, I guess, things for a while. Now it's someone else's turn, because he was flaunting other young girls that he had, very young girls that he was intending to marry after he left her. You know, and this lady didn't really care about relationships. She just wanted her children. She wasn't even saying she wanted to come back to the marriage. She said she wasn't interested. She made that very clear. She said she didn't want to ever go back to him. Never. Because once you leave a narcissist, trust me, you run and you stay away. You don't want to make your life a living hell of continuing what you have experienced. Like Steve Harvey once said, I remember once somebody in Steve Harvey's, he was having this talk show that he has, and someone had told him about the problem she had experienced with, nothing major, just got up and said, oh, I've been in this relationship with this person, and the difficulties they'd had. She just highlighted a few things that she had experienced and asked Steve Harvey, what do you think? Should I carry on with him? He's asking me and saying he would change. I really love him, but I don't want to experience more pain. And then Steve Harvey asked her a question. He talked to me. He said to her, he said, you can only judge based on what has happened in the past, how your future is going to look like. Even though he's making all these promises. Has he made promises like this before? She said, yes. He said, did he change? She said, well, initially. She's like, okay, so that's exactly what's going to happen. If you want the remaining, assuming you have 40 more years on earth, 30 more years, your remaining 30 years to be like that, then you go back to that person. And even Dr. Phil said it too. Past behavior is what determines future behavior. You cannot base future behavior on something that you can't even see, or it's something that you're hoping will happen. How many years are you going to hope for? And the person comes up and says sorry, and that's it. And then you continue again down that road, toxic road, emotional turmoil, physical turmoil that eventually has an impact upon your health. Your psychological health is impacted. You start to lack sleep, start having insomnia. Your digestive system is affected. You can't even eat and digest your food. You start hearing all kinds of rumblings. You always have like flatus when you're not supposed to have flatus. For those who don't know gas, you become so gassy. You start having anti-acidity where your food feels like it's stuck up underneath your chest, where you can't even breathe sometimes. You lose your appetite. Some people become anorexic. Some people become bulimic. Anorexia, you can't eat for days and you lose weight. For those who it becomes a chronic issue for them. And while those who eat and go and throw up just because they want to maintain a certain size, they throw up in the washroom. Your bulimia. You start experiencing all kinds of physical, somatic, spiritual issues. Somatic issues being that, you might have stomach pain. I've had a patient in the past, one of the clinics where I worked. She came in, he was a man. He came in with stomach issues. He was coming in very frequently, almost every week. And at some point we found out that this man, he did with abdominal scans, KUB, we did x-rays, nothing, we couldn't find anything. And I decided to ask him about his psychological health, a few questions about his family dynamics, about his children. He was a grandfather, what's going on with his family. I just wanted to know the background, like, how are you living? Are you happy? And he told me about the stressor of his grandson who was into drugs, who was living with him. His granddaughter also was on the streets at the age of 15 or 16, dropped out of school. His wife was not able to cope. I think she was also depressed and had anxiety. He was the only one that was stable in the household. His children were not able to care for, their children. That's why his grandchildren ended up with him. So he had to deal with his grandson and his granddaughter at his age, someone that was almost 70, on a daily basis. And that is why he ended up with this somatic stomach pain. There was no physical cause for it, but the stressor of having to deal with teenagers like that on a daily basis was causing him stomach pain that didn't have a source. Nobody knew what it was. And I explained that to him. I told him, I said, you're having somatic pain. It's referred pain. Something that is happening to you psychologically is exhibiting itself in a physical manner to you. And he was so happy in a way because he said, oh my goodness, no wonder, like he was getting worried. They've done all these tests. So I told him, you have to do some stress management. You have to, go take time out for yourself. Do what you enjoy doing. Do you like to go out and sit down with your friends? Leave your house. Make time for yourself to sit down, play cards, do stuff that is, healthy. Don't go out of your way to get involved in all sorts of things. But, do stuff that's healthy for you, that you enjoy. Think about your own health, I know you love your grandkids, but you can't continue to fall sick for their sake. And that was the last time I saw this man here. I mean, I gave him some anti-acidity drugs and all of that just to take care of the physical manifestation of what was happening psychologically to him. You know? So that's what happens in a narcissistic relationship. They are coming across to you with so much anger and so much wickedness and so much vindictiveness, and they attack you and they speak to you down. They're down to you. They talk down to you. They do all sorts to you. And this is something that is constant every single day. You're hearing somebody putting you down. Nothing positive that you do is being highlighted, only the negative. When you do something small that they consider wrong, they will highlight it and amplify it. When you do a lot of things that are good, they won't even say thank you. And then when you make the effort to look good for them and do things for them, you rarely hear thank you. It's only when something wrong do you hear, oh, you used to do it better before. Oh, what happened? You know, you don't hear any positives. So you see what I mean? I became an avid gymnast. When I say I used to go to the gym every day, and I used to pray every day. Those are the two things that helped me, being physically fit. I took up boxing. You know boxing? When you let go of your frustration on that, what do they call it again? When you're boxing, you let out your frustration. You know, with the boxing glove on the wherever you're boxing. I forget the name, but that's what I was boxing, letting out my frustration with the boxing. And I would run on the treadmill for like 30 minutes without stopping. I would sweat everything out. You know, I lost so much weight at some point, but it wasn't about losing weight or looking good. It was just giving me some, you know, the hormones, the sensory hormones I needed. It was really serotonin, happiness hormones. I was getting all of those stuff. You know, people see me and they think, oh, this lady loves the gym so much. Not really. I was doing it because of the benefit I was getting. I was happier after I left the gym. I felt I was more capable, in a better shape physically to deal with what was happening at home. I felt, yes, I could deal with this. If this man says anything to me, my heart is stronger. I can take certain things better than if my heart was weaker. Plus, I'm boxing, so I'm physically fit. You know, my arms are strong. So, you know, it's not like I'm going to do that to fight anybody, but it just made me feel better that, you know, you could handle certain things. And then spiritually too, I would pray and I leave everything to God. I would pray fervently, not just normal prayer, but prayer works. For those of you who are going through it, take my advice, take it from me. Try these things. It's just a start. I know you probably need therapy too. Even I talk a lot because I tell people, and they think this lady likes to talk and tell people her issues. Let me tell you, there's no shame in expressing yourself. It's better than keeping it in here. I tell people, though, and sometimes maybe they judge you when they eat. Why is she not keeping? No, it's not everything you keep secret. Don't suffer and die in silence, my dear. Speak it out to someone, because you never know who can help you. Help you. If they want to say because you told them they want to go and spread it, that's on them. That says more about their character than you. If you want to unburden yourself and you have a friend or someone you can rely on, not just anyone, to tell, like, this is what I'm experiencing at home. Have you ever heard of this kind of thing? Tell me, what do you do? It is better than keeping it to yourself. And you as an adult will know whether the person is advising you wrongly, because you can tell right from wrong. You can tell that if the person is telling you, for example, tells you go and fight your husband, you know that that's wrong. Fighting is not the answer. Sometimes just being able to have a listening ear alone, even without the person saying anything, is therapeutic. And that's why you won't burst into flames, because you're having all this pent up energy and feelings of feeling down and sad and overwhelmed within your spirit, and you don't have anybody to talk to. Tell me, how does that feel? Doesn't it feel better to talk to somebody? Let me be that person for you. Tell me. Let's share ideas. Tell me, let's share ideas. Even if it's me, even if you're just saying a prayer for you, I can. A short prayer. When I'm praying for myself and my family, I'll add you. There's nothing wrong in doing that. We have to pray for each other and be there for each other. And that's one of the main goals of my videos, is to reach out to any woman who is going through, or even man, or like I say, man, children, women. But I only say women mostly because I'm a woman and I'm coming from a woman's perspective. So if you're going through pain, heartache, because of one human being that just wants to make themselves your God and determine your joy, whether you have joy or not, or destroy the joy that God has given you, please go to God in prayer. And if you need an ear to listen to, please contact me. Okay? Don't feel like you're alone in this. You're not alone. Okay, I'm going to end it here now. I thank you so much for tuning to CannonBallDiVA Chronicles. This is CannonBallDiVA, shining out and saying God bless you all and have a great day. Bye.